Good afternoon, everybody. It's a great pleasure to be with you once again. You know, this is the beginning of my 31st academic year at the University of Denver and my 7th as Chancellor. And I cannot remember a fall term that has been more glorious than the one we are experiencing right now. Of course, the campus is wonderful and beautiful, but it's more than that. This fall term is extraordinary, I think, because of the amazing students that we have at the university, because of the extraordinarily talented and committed staff and faculty that we have at the university, and because of the remarkable opportunities that lie ahead of us. Let me begin by thanking you. This good condition of the university, this happy moment in time, was really brought about by all of you, by each and every member of the staff and faculty of the University of Denver, each of you who worked so hard to get us to this place. It's customary for me at Convocation to talk about the condition of the university and to tell you where we are and what may lie ahead. Let me begin by giving you just a brief recap of the year past. It was a very good year for the University of Denver, really an extraordinary year in our history, in spite of all of the external pressures that we had to face as an institution. First, let me talk about the quality of the academic enterprise at DU, which continued its dramatic upward movement. Dr. McCubry referred to the caliber of our students. Once again, in this past year, in academic year 2010-2011, we had the very best students here that we had ever had. Any way you cut it, in terms of the capabilities and talents of our undergraduates, in terms of the credentials of our graduate students as well. They are only surpassed by the capabilities of the students who have just enrolled with us this fall, who are once again our very best students, both undergraduates and graduate students. I could talk to you about test scores and GPAs and all of that sort of stuff, but let me just tell you that for our undergraduates, what I understand from Tom Willoughby and the admissions people is that out of a class of 1,245 or so who matriculated, new students who matriculated this fall, 75 are class valedictorians from their high schools. 350 of them have high school GPAs that are 4.0 or better. And the average, total average, is 3.8. They are an extraordinary group of people. If you compare this class to the classes of years ago, I've been here long enough to remember classes of years ago, they are a remarkable group. If you look at our graduate students, and you look at their accomplishments as well, the new students who are entering, but also the students who are continuing. Whether you look at GREs or GMATs or LSAT scores, however you cut it, this is the finest group we have ever seen. They are also among the most diverse group we've ever seen. And for me, that is a measure of excellence, really a prerequisite for the sort of intellectual depth we are trying to build at this university. We've added 20 new faculty members this year. Actually, last year we added 20 new faculty members and more in this year. If you compare where we are in terms of full-time faculty positions at the university, last year for fiscal 2011, we had more than 150 more full-time faculty positions than we did in 2005, just that long ago. And that's given rise to a student-to-faculty ratio that has come down to 12 for the university as a whole, and to something just below 9 for our undergraduate students. Those are remarkable numbers and represent a lot of investment in the academic enterprise at the university. We have a vast array of new programs that we have been investing in the course of last year and the current year. Let me call out just one that I'm very pleased with, and that is a group of 40 pilot projects that were done for online courses for undergraduate resident students at DU, which is an important thing for us to be investing in. And I know that the huge majority of those courses went well, and I want to offer my thanks to the faculty and staff members who were involved in the development of those courses. That's a major step forward for us. All of this good academic news really was realized by the team that visited us from the Higher Learning Commission of the North Central Association. This past year we had our 10-year reaccreditation visit, and I must say that we sailed through it. We sailed through it. Thank you to all of the actually hundreds of people among our faculty and staff who were involved for a period of more than 2 years in developing all that we needed to do for that accreditation visit. Congratulations to all of you and to all of us on its outcome. Financially, we are enjoying terrific stability, no matter how much you look at it. We're clearly at the zenith of our 148-year existence in terms of our financial condition. If you look at our balance sheet, for example, at the end of last year, we closed the year with net assets approaching $1 billion. And that's about 3 times our annual expenses. So our balance sheet is really solid. We had a very solid operating margin once again, ending the year in the black for the 22nd consecutive year. That was certainly fueled by some enrollment growth. Of course, we're at a size of the university in terms of student populations where we really don't want to be any bigger than we are, but we're still growing here and there in some areas by new gifts and investment growth. Our endowment hit an all-time high this past summer at the close of fiscal 2011. That was actually 15% greater than the high that it had previously hit in the summer of '08 before the markets fell. And I think that's a testimony to donors who believe in the university, in what we're doing, and it's a testimony to the skill of members of our Board of Trustees in investing our wealth. It was indeed a very positive year for our campaign, the Ascend campaign, and I'll talk more about that later. We made major investments in the campus. You may remember that at the beginning of this past year, we opened Raffato Hall, the new home of the Morgridge College of Education. We did a number of major renovation projects. And of course, we've begun the amazing Academic Commons project. So much more than a renovation project on the Penrose Library. This is a project, in my mind, that is of remarkable importance to the university, coming as it does in the midst of enormous change. In the manner in which we approach teaching and learning at the university, in the manner in which we approach scholarship and research here. And of course, this year we had the controversy over the books, which clearly we had erred in not consulting faculty and staff as we should have. But I must tell you that the manner in which this was resolved by the provost and by a committee of faculty members, taking a hard look at data and numbers, was very pleasing to me. And frankly, I think it was very good for us all as a university, and brought us to a place from which we can really move forward vigorously on a project that is important to all of us here at the University of Denver, and is going to be important to countless numbers of people who are yet to come. Among our students who will come in the decades to follow, but also faculty members who will make their lives here, and staff members who will make their lives here as well. We made major gains in sustainability. And you may know that we received a gold award for the American Council on Sustainability in Higher Education. We were among only a handful, I think 12 or 13 universities that received that sort of recognition. And that is testimony to the hard work that's been put in by lots and lots of people on this campus, particularly by the members of the Sustainability Committee, faculty, staff, student members of that committee, and I want to congratulate all of them. Thank them for their hard work, but congratulate them on this good result and on this good place where we find ourselves. We have a long, long way to go, but it's one of the areas that's of central importance to the manner in which we operate the university, and so thank you. The year culminated with the graduation of more than 2,000 students, about evenly split between undergraduates and graduate students. And I must say that as a group, they're representative of the best that DU has to offer, really, the best that we have to offer to the world. They've done remarkably well in the job market, in spite of this terrible stagnant economy that we see, and in admissions to graduate programs throughout the country and throughout the world. All in all, it was a tremendous year. And I thank you all, every one of you, for the hard work that you put into it in creating that result. So what lies ahead? We've begun fiscal 2012, and this year, as in years past, I gave to the Board of Trustees a rather long list of objectives, which have now gotten to the point where they're a bullet list of objectives that's several pages long, of things that we hope to accomplish in the course of this year. But among them, if you look closely at all of these things, there are really just 5 that are going to occupy our attention and that are really of great importance to the university and to its future. The first of these has to do with recruiting great students, our ability to continue to recruit and enroll superior students year after year after year after year. We are competing with a group of national private institutions now. That's our major competition, that have as a group far greater endowments, far greater resources than we do. Even though we're recruiting these great students as a whole, there is something that we call the need gap, and that's a gap between the amount of financial aid that we're able to put on the table and the stated need of our students coming, and it's significant. And frankly, that is the single limiting factor that we face in terms of building the quality of our students, both undergraduates and graduates. One of the things that I hope to accomplish this year, along with Tom Willoughby and his really remarkable staff, and with all of you, is to close that need gap, at least for the top echelons of our students coming in. If we can do so, and I do believe it's within our financial reach to fully close that need gap for our top students, it's going to have an enormous impact on student quality, an enormous impact in this zone, this very high capability zone of students where we are competing these days. If we can fully meet students' needs, we know that we are a magnet, that we have a reputation now, that we will attract them. It's going to have an enormous impact on student diversity as well. If you think about this window where we're operating along the distribution of student capabilities, the competition in diversity broadly defined, is intense. And if we can fully meet students' needs, then we will be able to continue our forward movement in building diversity among the population of students that we have here. Let me talk also about diversity as a separate matter. I've said before, and I'm sure some of you have heard me say it, that I think we're doing really quite well in terms of building the diversity of the campus community, students and faculty and staff. Where I think we have a lot of work to do is in inclusion. How we extract the benefits of that growing diversity in order to build the intellectual depth of our culture here, in order to build the benefit to all of us. We're working at that, and we've gotten to this interesting point where every year we are more and more diverse, whether you're talking about socioeconomic diversity or race and ethnicity or international origin or politics or religion or whatever it may be. Every year we are more and more diverse, and we have large groups forming up. What we need to work on is intergroup relations. We need to work on opening up the culture that we have as a campus community, if we are really to extract the benefit of that. I think that's something we really do have to focus our time on this year, an important objective for us. A third one that you know well, faculty and staff salaries. Faculty and staff salaries. There is a widening gap, and I assure you that those of us among the leadership of the university are well aware of it. We compare ourselves to other universities all the time, to this group of private universities among national privates that we compete with on many levels, and we know that that gap is there. We also know that it's not likely to be closed by annual merit increases. We give annual merit increases, but so does every school that we compete with. And so we must start to remedy this in a multi-year process. The provost and I have talked at great length about beginning that process this year while we have the financial strength to do so. And we simply must do that. Certainly if we are to recruit great faculty, great staff members for the university, but more to the point, if we are to hold on to the wonderful people that we have here already. In terms of academic programs, so those are three things. The fourth thing, in terms of academic programs, we're going to have a focus this year on all that we're doing in the sciences and engineering. We do a lot of really good things in engineering and the sciences right now, but one of the things that you may be aware of is that we're seeing the beginnings of a new wave of students coming in STEM disciplines, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Nationally, this has grown up to the point where now somewhere between 25 and 30% of undergraduate degrees are given in those areas. Again, that was the case years ago, sort of in the Cold War years. We're back to there now. We have to be as competitive as we can possibly be in these areas. And we've worked really hard in recent years on a number of our graduate professional schools and on our undergraduate programs. And this year, I think we are going to turn our attention there. We need more, certainly we need more people, students and faculty and staff. We need better facilities. We need greater research activity than we have now. And that relates to more people. Mind you, what we're doing now down in the south end of campus, which is dear to my heart as a faculty member in the chemistry department, we're doing some extraordinary things. We have wonderful faculty. We have wonderful students. We need more of everything if we are to face this new wave of interest in the sciences and engineering and mathematics that's coming our way. And of course, the fifth thing, which is by no means least, is the campaign. Let me conclude by bringing you up to date on the Ascend campaign. I want to reiterate for all of you what the campaign is all about in just a few words. If you get right down to the heart of it, the Ascend campaign is about building excellence in the academic enterprise of the university and its impact for a raft of people in academia and well beyond. It's about quality and impact. That's what it's really about. Defined by what we do for our students while they are here at the University of Denver, how the effect that we have on their minds and on their hearts, and our ability to set them out on paths that will lead them to success and lives of meaning and purpose and make a difference in the world. The other part of that is the impact that we have collectively, the intellectual assets of the university. How do we focus those against the great issues of our time? How does the institution as a whole have an impact on the major issues that all of us and all of our fellow citizens out there are facing right now? The campaign is about building support for that, for the core of the university and what we are really about. What does that mean in terms of the elements of the campaign? It means support for students. It means closing that need gap for undergraduates and for graduate students. It means supporting the students that we have here. It means support for faculty and staff members. It means closing the salary gap there, making certain that we're still able to, that we have the resources to recruit the finest people and to hold on to the great people that we have. It means support for key high-impact areas of the university. And those are among the ones that I've mentioned. The undergraduate enterprise here, we've been investing heavily in recent years in our graduate professional programs, which are absolutely terrific right now, among the very best in the world. And some of the defining elements of undergraduate excellence here: internationalization, ethics and values, talent development in the visual and performing arts and in athletics. How are we doing at this? We started the campaign in fiscal '07, the '06-'07 academic year. I can tell you right now that we are just turning over the $300 million figure in gifts and commitments. We're really doing quite well there. And we have the better part of 3 years left to go. The campaign runs through 2014, which is, of course, our 150th birthday as an institution. The campaign, the dollars we've raised, are about the things that I was just talking about. Of that $300 million, about a third has been received in support of scholarships and fellowships for undergraduate students and graduate students. You may know that we're driving that right now by having set aside a pool of matching funds out of the university's funds of $25 million to match gifts, endowment gifts for undergraduate aid, $10 million to match endowment gifts for graduate aid. And we've already used more than half of the undergraduate pool in just a year. And the graduate pool, it just started this past summer, and I think a couple of $1 million is already gone there. So that's working. I'll give you an example, if I can take just one short piece of time of how that works. We received a gift from a very generous donor of $5 million last year for support of undergraduate scholarships in the Daniels College of Business. And this gift was in addition to an existing $1 million endowment there that this donor had established some years before. These dollars are specifically for need-based aid for domestic minority students and students of color in the Daniels College of Business. The university matched that gift with $5 million, such that the endowment grew from $1 million to $11 million. The annual release of those funds, $490 million, $495 out of the $11 million, is sufficient, if we apply it once it grows in, is sufficient to fully close the need gap for every minority student in the Daniels College of Business. That's how these things work. That's the sort of impact we're talking about. Thank you. About 11% of what we've raised has been in support of faculty chairs and professorships. And we're working hard at that as well. That's a very pleasing result. A lot of what's been raised is in support of programs. Some of it has been for buildings. You know, those are probably the most obvious outcome of the campaign, but really it's the minority of the funds that have been raised, whether it's for the Mortgage College of Education or for the Academic Commons Project or for a number of major renovations that we have done. What are we working on now? I'm hoping that we can get to $350 million by the end of this year. That'll be a good mark, and I've given that as a goal to our advancement folks. I think we need to complete the campaign for Academic Commons. We have about 87 or 88% of the money in hand right now. We're working hard on our annual fund, and of course we kicked off the faculty and staff campaign just a couple of weeks ago. Do think about that. Thank you so much to all of you who have already participated in that. That's a most important thing. Well, let me conclude. I've taken up enough time. Really, I hope that everybody recognizes where we are. DU is incredibly stable right now, financially sound, with the quality of what we're doing rapidly ascending. The future is filled with opportunity. The door is open for us. In spite of all of the daunting news about the economy and what's happening in the rest of the world, the door is very clearly open for us. We have worked for 20, 25 years or more to bring the university to this place. And the key word right now is opportunity. It's a turning point for us. We're in a very competitive game that I firmly believe that we can win. Won't be easy. We have to stay on our toes every minute of every day. We have to stay open-minded and have the courage to embrace new ideas, even though they may seem counter to the traditional approach. We've got to continue to build and focus our resources behind those elements of the university that really do contribute to the absolute quality of the enterprise. Everything that we do has to be about excellence and impact. I want to conclude by thanking each and every one of you once again. Every member of the staff that's here today, every member of the faculty that's here today, for all that you have done to bring us to this place of great opportunity. Thank you for all that you do for our DU.